Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
So Thor Love and Thunder is basically just over the horizon, and with the power scaling community almost about to lose their shit seeing Thor decimate entire moons and battle against a bald goon, I thought what better to do than cycle back to the last time Thor was a certified beast and spend 5 or so minutes just paying our boy a little bit of respect. Because trust me, I don't know why, but for some reason MCU Thor has been getting some mad disrespect recently. Like for real, most people have no idea how strong this guy really is. So I hope I don't cause a world war in the comments by saying this, but I think most of us can agree that Infinity War is Thor's strongest movie feat-wise. I mean, come on, just look at this guy go. However, whether or not you agree with that, what is objectively true is that the movie undoubtedly upgraded Thor in pretty much all stats. And in particular, it's that sequence on Nidavellir where Thor forges his weapon where we get to properly see how strong he is. In the entire sequence, Thor has 3 main feats that display his strength: moving the rings of Nidavellir, holding open the iris of Nidavellir's star, and finally, you guessed it, tanking the force of the star. And in today's video, I'm going to be taking a deeper look into these 3 main feats in order to properly visualize to y'all how strong Thor actually is. Because you've got to remember, most people nowadays tend to sleep on this guy bare. That being said, let's first take a quick look at the rings feat. So with a little help from Rocket and his pod, Thor was able to move the gigantic rings of Nidavellir in order to restart the forge and reignite the neutron star. To do this, Thor essentially anchored himself to the rings and, following the rules of Newton's third law, generated a force equal to that of Rocket's pod thrusters in order to get the thing moving. What makes this feat so impressive is unsurprisingly the sheer size of the rings Thor was moving. VFX supervisor Greg Steele confirmed them to be the size of a small moon. However, small moon level is not an official tier in power scaling, and so we'll have to do a little calculating to properly scale the feat. According to Comment Safari, the weight of Nidavellir's rings has been calculated to just over 103 trillion tons, which is almost 10 times heavier than Mars' largest moon, Phobos. Meaning that in this scene, Thor was pressing the weight of almost 10 moons at once. Once converted into attack potency, this feat comes in at just over 4 teratons of TNT, which in power scaling terms is small country level. And although this may not sound very impressive, the amount of energy Thor was generating to move Nidavellir's rings here is actually over a whopping 81,000 times more powerful than the strongest nuke ever detonated in human history, the Tsar bomb. Also, just keep in mind that none of these calcs factor in the insane gravitational effects of a neutron star, and so if anything they're a severe lowball. The next feat up on the list is when Thor was able to hold open the iris of Nidavellir's star, which keep in mind he was able to do for a good few minutes while simultaneously tanking the full force of the star. What makes the feat so impressive is that the doors that Thor was holding open had to be durable enough to withstand the star's full power output, meaning they'd have to be made out of some pretty fucking strong material. Now if we discount any of the gravitational effects of neutron stars, the feat is only worth around 20,000 tons, but taking gravity into account, bear in mind the gravity of a neutron star is 200 billion times stronger than that of Earth's, then this means Thor was holding open around 4 quadrillion short tons of weight. For reference, that's about 342 times heavier than Mars' largest moon, and so this serves as Thor's current best lifting feat within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. By the way, I didn't do this calc, all the credit goes to this guy in Comic Vine. And of course, we now come to the feat everyone clicks on this video to hear me talk about, the one I've been dreading the entire video. Tanking
the full force of a star.
So before I begin fully breaking down this feat, I just want to make sure you're all aware that this is definitely going to be the longest segment of the video, for obvious reasons. This is a very controversial feat. And I'm not really sure why. I think if you watch the movie, it's pretty clear what they're trying to hint to us in this scene.
You understand, boy? You're about to take the full force of a star.
But without a further ado, let's discuss. So Thor's final feat in this sequence, and by far his most impressive durability feat within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, was being able to tank the full force of a neutron star for an extended period of time. Now there's a bunch of calcs out there which somehow managed to lowball this feat billions and billions of times over all the way to island or country level. However, these numbers are severely flawed for many reasons. What these calcs don't factor in is the fact that Nidavellir is stated to be a Dyson sphere by the directors and the VFX team several times. And for those who don't know, a Dyson sphere is a hypothetical mechanism which captures a large percentage of the star's energy output and focuses it onto one spot. And so with this in mind, we know that Thor undoubtedly had to be tanking at least the majority of the star's power output and therefore scales to it. Also, the fact that the star is housed within a Dyson sphere would explain why it doesn't appear to have any of the characteristics of a real-life neutron star, as Dyson spheres aren't real themselves. This detail would also add credibility to Ichi's statement, who flat out states Thor would be tanking the full force of the star.
You understand, boy? You're about to take the full force of a star.
This statement alone should honestly be enough to prove that Thor's durability is star level, especially when you factor in that Ichi has been living down there and forging weapons of the exact same process for a millennia, and so he obviously knows what he's talking about. And if you unironically believe that some fan-made calcs are a more reliable source than crystal clear statements literally by the guy that's been living there for 1,000 years, I mean, I don't even know what to say. You're basically taking headcanon over canonical facts. Not to mention, the Russos themselves confirmed that Thor had to endure the full power of the star in order to make Stormbreaker. So with all that said, I think it's safe to say that the evidence pours heavily in favour of the fact that Thor did indeed tank most, if not the entire force of this star. But the real question is how impressive is this feat exactly, hence how powerful is the star Thor survived. Now, an extremely important detail many people forget to factor in when discussing this feat is that this ain't just any old star. This is a neutron star, as stated by Thor.
Nidavellir's forge harnesses the blazing power of the neutron star.
And for those who are unaware, which is honestly quite a lot of you, the amount of energy a neutron star outputs is frankly ridiculous. The neutron star SGR 180620 releases more energy in 1/10 of a second than our sun does in 100,000 years. Which, if you're telling me that isn't at least star level, then I honestly have no hope for you anymore. And just for peace of mind, two neutron stars colliding sent energy across the entire universe, and just being near one could wreak havoc to an entire solar system. And so to tell me that tanking even a portion of that kind of power is only island level is a joke. There are also other calculations which put the average energy output of a neutron star at 340 Fo, which is solar system level, which Thor's durability scales to. However, despite how insane that is, even this is likely a lowball, considering that Ichi stated Thor would be taking the full force of the star. And so not just energy output, but also heat, pressure, weight, gravity, and magnetic intensity. The temperature of newly formed neutron stars is around 100 billion to 1 trillion Kelvin, which is over 6,500 times hotter than the core of the sun and 1,000 times hotter than a nuclear explosion. However, over time, this number can fall to only 1 million Kelvin, which is still pretty impressive, I guess. The density of neutron stars is around 260 and 410 trillion times that of our sun. It's so absurd that even just a teaspoon of a neutron star material would weigh over 5 billion tons, or around 900 times the mass of the Great Pyramid of Giza. To picture just how absurdly dense a neutron star is, imagine an object with a mass 1.4 times heavier than that of the sun, compressed into an area just 12.5 miles wide, about the size of a city. The gravitational field strength of a neutron star is 100 billion times stronger than Earth's, and its magnetic field strength is between 100 million and 1 quadrillion times Earth's. And these are all factors which Thor had to endure simultaneously alongside the star's energy output, which we already said is at least solar system level. Ichi also states it would take a few minutes to melt the Uru metal.
How long will it take to heat it?
A few minutes, maybe more. Why?
Meaning that Thor was able to tank all of this for an extended period of time, making the feat that much more impressive. And so to summarize, yeah, this is by far and away Thor's best durability feat out of any movie he's been in, and easily up there as one of the best in the entire verse. Going off of energy output, the feat should be at least solar system level, however, considering this does not factor in any of the aforementioned elements, it's likely even higher. So yeah, to conclude the video, we have our boy Thor being able to move moon-sized rings, generating the equivalent energy of over 80,000 nukes in the process, being able to hold open a weight of 4 quadrillion tons, while simultaneously enduring the solar system busting force and radiation of a neutron star for a good few minutes. And keep in mind, this was all done whilst Thor was still weakened from just being tortured by Thanos and being in the center of the explosion of the Statesman, which funnily enough happens to be another consistent solar system level durability feat for Thor. More on that another time though. So that's going to do it for now, guys. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and switch on notifications. Also, stay tuned for a new and improved Thor power scaling video after Love and Thunder drops tomorrow. Well, I mean, at least at the time I'm recording this, it drops tomorrow, but I'm sure that all of you would have seen the movie at the time you're watching this video. But until then, I'll see you all next time.